What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about the future of zombies, the controversy behind round-based, and even a breakdown of the early gameplay we got for Anfang. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and also be sure to check out our wonderful new partner Manscaped, who recently released a variety of products with the Performance Package 4.0. Your friends down there will be taken care of like never before with the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, the Crop Preserver deodorant, and the Crop Reviver toner. Also included is the Weed Whacker trimmer for our nose and ears, a magic mat, and some more free gifts like the Manscaped boxers and the luxury travel bag. Be sure to click on the link down below in the description and use code TWITCH20 to save 20% off your order. I mistakenly said 10% in my previous video. Hopefully that clears things up now. But also don't forget, tomorrow morning I'll be streaming the live reaction to the official Haunting gameplay trailer premiere, which is going to be on Call of Duty's YouTube channel. Cannot wait to see what they're going to premiere for multiplayer zombies and even Warzone. Then on Tuesday I'll be live again throughout the whole day, streaming the entirety of the Haunting event, Spooky Nuketown, the Haunting event challenges. Hope to see all you guys there. Should be a ton of fun, but I'm assuming we're also getting a separate roadmap for this Haunting event tomorrow, since there is an unannounced mode for Cold War zombies, specifically Outbreak. So hopefully it's spooky enough for this Haunting event, and hopefully it's something that represents a strong finish for what could be the final update that we get for Black Ops Cold War Zombies altogether. Now, not sure why people out there are a bit confused with how the new zombies is going to work for Vanguard. Although there are quite a few things we don't know, I think Treyarch explained everything fairly well in their breakdown behind the scenes video as well as their blog post. But we're still going to break everything down in case you guys are still confused. But first off, Anfang, the first zombies experience we're getting in Call of Duty Vanguard, translates to the beginning, and although it is kind of a prequel to Cold War Zombies, I say kind of because this is still after Project Endstation, and we got a glimpse of Project Endstation at the beginning of the Die Maschine intro cinematic, and we do get a glimpse of Endstation yet again within our Vanguard trailer, since we got a glimpse there of both Vogel and even Dr. Strauss, which was definitely a nice surprise when we first watched it. So it's still after Endstation, but before Zykov took over, killed the old gods, and became the Forsaken. Zykov is already in the Dark Ether, but it didn't get to the point where Dark Ether turned purple just yet. The Dark Ether was obviously red before, and our goal is to stop Wolfram von List, who was revealed to be Jaeger's uncle, or I'm sorry, great uncle, thanks to new intel we got over in Forsaken DLC 4. Forsaken's intel also hinted at Invictor the Destroyer, one of 4 old gods used to rule the Dark Ether. I know there was intel where we got a name of one of the gods cut off, Cortifex, and I believe Sparagamos, who created the Chrysalax Wonder Weapon, does name drop Invictor as well. The other 3 old gods include Soraxis the Shadow, Norticus the Conqueror, and Belikar the Warlock. Now, the mode is confirmed to be a hybrid between Outbreak, Onslaught, and Round-Based. So the way it works is simple, right? We're going to have a hub in the center. Consider it a zombie's headquarters, so to speak, with Red Star. That's Stalingrad, and I'm wondering how long it'll take before somebody calls it a Gurad remake, because it's going to be a very similar looking area, of course, but it's Red Star for multiplayer. That's the center hub. Then there will be multiple portals you can choose from, and those portals will include a region of your choice, whether it's Hotel Royale, Shino Numa, surprisingly, or Melville, which is where the giant windmill is at, and there will be different objectives in each of those regions. So upon completing all the objectives in those regions, you come back to the hub, which is Red Star, and the area will then expand, but it's unclear what happens when the area expands. Does that open us up to another bonus objective? Will it turn into a round-based type mode, or is there a main quest we can do after doing the objectives in the other regions? The other question is, will this be the only type of mode we see for zombies throughout the entirety of Call of Duty Vanguard, right? Because how the DLC maps work, surely there won't be any DLC maps added to Anfang, since it seems like this one standalone experience on its own 2 feet. Not Outbreak 2.0, where they'll just add more regions later on. So does that mean for the post-launch season we have to get a new hub with 3 other regions you can warp to? It's a bit unclear, but another thing about the entirety of the zombies reveal is that nothing was mentioned about a main Easter egg quest, round-based maps, or the post-launch DLC season. There was a little bit mentioned, which we're going to talk about, but first off, the main quest, right? One could be a surprise in Anfang, without a doubt. I mean, we haven't really had a Treyarch Zombies launch without a main quest, right? But I have something of a feeling like it's going to be similar to Outbreak, where we have to wait for a main quest to be added later. I don't think it'll be too long. I think if anything, we'll have to wait until Season 1, which is probably December the 1st, to get a main quest on this experience, unless it's already there at launch. But maybe with the way Outbreak worked and the fact that they didn't really have it prepared before Cold War even came out, maybe that's why it took so long to see the main quest added to Outbreak. It was Season 3 when we got the first one, Season 4 to get the second one. Maybe it'll be different this time around. We're just not sure. But all in all, man, if we have to wait until Season 2 to get a main quest in Anfang, or even after that, then does that mean we're going to get DLC regions added to the hub? hub over the next couple of major updates. I mean, I will say I'm a bit frustrated with the fact that we have a content reset with Vanguard Zombies. I'm excited for the mode nonetheless, you know, don't get me wrong, but you're essentially going backwards a little bit in the sense that everything we unlocked and worked for in Cold War just won't be there at all in Vanguard Zombies, at least not at launch. We have to wait a few seasons again to get back to where we were with all our field upgrades and tier abilities and perks. It's going to be a bit bare bones, at least at launch, at least from what we're understanding right now, but you never know. Surprises are inevitable, of course, when it comes to Treyarch. Now, when it comes to round-based maps, so as of now, I think Shido Numa's kind of an obvious one, right? Why wasn't that confirmed to be an extra round-based map that they'll add at launch? Is it a reward for completing the Easter egg on the map, or a reward for doing something else? Totally plausible, unless there is no round-based at all. I mean, that could also be possible. What if this is a tortured path type scenario, though, where you unlock each region individually as round-based maps later down the line, whether it's after completing a main Easter egg or whether it's through a random update Treyarch decides to release? That's what happened back during World War II DLC 3. We had the tortured path with the 3 different regions you can go to, and there was a main Easter egg essentially on each of those regions. If you did them all in sequential order in, I think, a public lobby, it would unlock the ending cutscene. It was then an update a few months later where Sledgehammer finally added in those 3 individual regions as regular round-based maps. Maybe it'll be the same case here with Vanguard? Now, at the time of posting this, we still don't know what the PlayStation exclusive bonus will be for Call of Duty Vanguard. Charlie Intel confirmed earlier today that there will be some bonus loadouts you can have as a part of exclusivity, but that's not very much. So the full-on bonus or the major exclusive benefit has yet to be revealed. We are a couple of days away, though, from the 1-year anniversary of Onslaught's announcement, so I think any day now we should be getting confirmation as to what the benefit will be. If it is zombies related, just imagine the controversy if it was round-based on some of these regions. I don't think it'll come down to that, but maybe it will. Maybe that's why we didn't get a mention of it during the recent blog post, because they wait for Sony to give them the green light to talk about a potential round-based mode for Vanguard. I don't think it'll come to that. You know, yet again, we did have survival for Modern Warfare, and survival was a major part of Spec Ops back during Modern Warfare 3, and that pissed quite a few people off, but that mode still didn't do well for a number of reasons I'm not going to go into. But look at Black Ops Cold War. Onslaught's being able to play survival or quote-unquote round-based on all the multiplayer maps. It's a fantastic game mode that has gotten a lot better over time. It'll be available November the 1st for Xbox and PC, but we already know whatever the benefit is going to be will not be available on Xbox or PC till November of 2022. So I think, as I put on Twitter recently, I want it to be a bit of a balance mode where it's not something too extravagant to where it really pisses off Xbox and PC, but also not a throwaway mode to where it's something that you touch once and then never touch again. But like I said on Twitter earlier, this isn't even Treyarch's year anyway, it's Sledgehammer's. Treyarch just happens to be making the zombies mode, so I think it's okay that for a non-full Treyarch game, this is the time where they fully go all out and experiment with something. But altogether, Activision would not have greenlit an experimental type zombies mode like this if Outbreak wasn't successful. I also think Outbreak and Cold War was greenlit to begin with because they always had plans for an open world type zombies mode, and because launch was very strong for Cold War with Die Machina, Activision said, you know what, let's go with it. Let's go ahead and greenlight this open world type zombies mode, and according to them, again, I don't have the numbers in front of me to prove this, but according to them, the player count was neck and neck between round-based and Outbreak, so it could have even been a different scenario where Outbreak may have outpaced round-based to the point where Activision told Treyarch, you know what, go full force with this new type of experimental mode with Vanguard and even COD 2023. But I think depending on how successful Vanguard Zombies is, that'll also give Treyarch an idea of what to focus on more for their next full Call of Duty in a couple of years from now, whether it's go back to more traditional round-based, or keep this hybrid, or go full force Outbreak only time will tell. Now, it's also possible we get a mix, maybe every other season, where we get a big content drop that comes with a hub and 3 regions you can warp to, like Anfang, and then the next season after that we get a regular round-based map. It's unclear how Treyarch has divided their development team up just for Vanguard Zombies. How many people are actually working on just Anfang and DLC experiences after that? How many people are also working on their next Call of Duty entirely that's coming out in a couple of years? That's a good question to ask as well, but I think what's really ironic to me is people out there that do say, and I quote, who asked for this? Who said we didn't want any more round-based maps? Why do we have 4 at launch of Black Ops 4, 1 with Cold War, and now a 0 with Vanguard? What's going on? People really seem to forget how toxic the community was during Black Ops 4 season, and maybe it just wasn't the vocal minority on Twitter and Reddit that were complaining, but maybe the player count also reflected a poor experience for Black Ops 4. Maybe the player count reflected that people just weren't as interested in all those round-based maps. maps. I remember very vividly, right, some of the arguments like, oh, it's too overwhelming, there's too many round-based maps, it's a copy-paste formula, Treyarch hasn't tried anything different, where's the open world zombies mode, there's too many perks, Easter eggs are too hard, it's overwhelming, I mean, it's too story-driven. I remember all those complaints very vividly. Not that I was saying those, I really enjoyed Black Ops 4, but I'm sure Activision or some other higher-ups definitely noticed that and said, you know what, Treyarch, try something a lot different in your next game, and they started fresh with Cold War, completely from a story and gameplay perspective, and that's being reflected right now with Vanguard. Now, in regards to a minor statement about the post-launch season for Vanguard, Treyarch did say, and I quote, "The story will continue to evolve after Vanguard launches, taking players to new locations with new objectives and new characters." So by characters, I'm sure they mean different operators, and maybe the operators we play as will have more importance than the ones that were in Cold War, although the crew, as you can call it, it's probably just going to be characters that talk to us and not characters we're playing as. I'm assuming they might introduce some other important operators that are more relevant to the story, not just some goofy characters you could buy in the shop. But when it comes to objectives, right, they didn't mention anything about round-based, they didn't mention anything about, you know, some other experiences, just new locations with new objectives. So does that just mean that we're gonna get new regions added to a Duran Fung type experience? I'm sure the whole life cycle is not just gonna be updates and new regions to Duran Fung, but maybe it means, like I said earlier, that we're gonna be getting these big experiences launching at once, where it's a hub in the middle and 3 regions you can warp to, and then that's it. I know main Easter egg quest and even Cold War zombies are referred to as these objectives, right? I get that, so maybe that's what they mean by this. But it kind of reminds me of the issue I brought up recently on the podcast about Champion Hill, because with Champion Hill, it's also something similar where it's a hub in the middle where you can buy things, and then there's the 4 different maps that you can be spawned into and do your little gunfight tournament at. So if they want to add more Champion Hill maps in the future, how will that work? Will they just add mini maps to the existing hub that's already there? Or do they have to add in a new set of, let's say, 5 maps where it's 1 hub in the middle and then the 4 other surrounding maps around it? So lots of questions with how that's even going to work, but it's in the same boat as Duran Fung here with how they have to structure the DLC now. So DLC is going to be free regardless, but I'm sure we'll learn more about the post-launch season once a Season 1 blog post does come out closer to December the 1st. The in-game timer for Cold War does refer to Season 6 as only lasting a couple more weeks, and if we do the math, that'll end on December the 1st, so that should be the start of Season 1 for Vanguard, and of course the launch of Warzone Pacific, the new anti-cheat known as Ricochet. So if you look at what gaming scoopers have claimed though, right, the original rumor from months ago, which I would always take with a grain of salt, is that there is apparently going to be a different type of experience for launch, which we now know is Duran Fung, and was previously, I guess, referred to as a placeholder name of War of the Dead. Now that's been changed clearly. I know the achievements also surfaced a bit early on the internet, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it was always said that a round-based map will likely be coming during Season 1. Now, as a bit of an update from other gaming scoopers, they're claiming that there may not be any round-based at all, at least not for Season 1. So again, I brought this up in a previous Zombies video. I do assume that if round-based is in this game at all, we'll probably only get 4 round-based maps total. Since that clearly worked for Cold War according to Activision, that's probably going to be the precedent going forward, whereas more time will go to this Outbreak Onslaught type hybrid mode. Now the objectives that got revealed through some early footage in this behind the scenes video include Blitz, Harvest, and Transmit. Notice how we only have essentially 4 maps at launch. We have Red Star in the middle as our hub, and then you have Shinonuma, the Windmill map, and what is that, Hotel Royale. So there's 3 new objectives for those 3 regions specifically. Is there a 4th mystery objective in Red Star upon completing the other 3? It's unclear how this is going to work, but I like how you can choose a region you want to go to. It provides a little bit more freedom in comparison to being randomly sent somewhere over an outbreak from Cold War. You can also exfil later if you want. We did get a glimpse of what clearly said the world grows harder. That's exactly what is said in Outbreak when you go to a new region in Cold War. So yeah, this is very, very clearly an Outbreak 2.0, but not saying you have to buy the game, you have to enjoy it, not that you have to even play it more than once, but at least be patient and be understanding of what is going on behind the scenes. That's all I'm going to say about that. So we definitely got some cool glimpses of these objectives in action, and let me know how you're feeling about them so far down below. I do understand people's opinions when they say it gets repetitive to the same objectives over and over again. If you play Outbreak now versus when it first came out from Cold War, they don't feel as repetitive because there's what, 7 total objectives now, or 6, whatever the number is. So there's so many you can get through randomly, whereas when Outbreak first came out, there was only what, 3 that you can choose from. So of course, it gets repetitive over time, but That's the issue with this type of mode or the sandbox type feature. It's that it doesn't really feel complete with a lot to do until a couple of seasons later. That's why I recommend when this mode's in its bare bones state, don't just play this. Try other things, whether it's other games entirely or Vanguard multiplayer, Vanguard campaign, Vanguard Warzone. That's what I would recommend to do. I mean, the argument though about it being too repetitive also makes me scratch my head, because I'm like, what was there really to do back in older Zombies iterations if it was just round-based, run around in circles for a couple of hours, do the same main Easter egg over and over? So it's kind of the same boat anyway. Zombies was never built too much for this endless replayability, so to speak, where there's always so much more to grind for, so much to do. It's not an RPG either. So unless they found this way, kind of like what Black Ops 3 did with Liquid Divinium, where you can always earn something and always redeem it for something new. Doesn't have to be gobblegums or microtransactions, but you get what I mean. If they ever added a mechanic like that again, that really creates endless replayability, at least the way I see it, and that I think offers more than just adding in, 20 side Easter eggs or 2 main quests. We also have new enemies, which include relentless zombie soldiers, just the basic models. We then have heavy armor stun Kriegers, probably said that wrong, but those are the heavy ones with the miniguns. Those are going to be a bit of a challenge. Can't wait to see how that works. And we also have exploding boom Schreiers or boom Shriers, probably said that wrong as well. They look like the Tormentors from Cold War. Unless they're going to be a bit different in Vanguard, then let me know how you're feeling about those new enemy types down below in the comments. You can also gain new power with the Altar of Covenants, an all new feature coming just to Vanguard Zombies exclusively. So if you offer a sacrificial heart to this station, you can get 3 random upgrades to select from. These could be AATs like Brain Rots and Cryo Freeze, which kind of has me confused, right? How the AATs work in the regular Pack-a-Punch machine then, unless they just aren't there. Also, why does the Pack-a-Punch machine look very similar to the Cold War one? I get it, right? In the storyline, Zykov repaired it, gave it to us, but I'd assume it would look different in Vanguard just a little bit, right? Give it more of a demonic look. Maybe that'll happen closer to release, but we also have abilities like Ammo Gremlin, Resurrectionist, Bloodlust, Dead Accurate, Splatterfest, and Unholy Ground. Notice how Resurrectionist is kind of a replacement for Quick Revive though, so although it does something that regular Quick Revive doesn't, I'm still curious why it's that similar. Is that a replacement for the perk? And in that case, that leads to the next topic. What is going to happen with perks in Vanguard Zombies? I haven't had much elaboration on how they're going to work yet. Although there will be these really cool looking perk fountains you can buy the perks from, there's a new perk we got a glimpse of with like these chattering teeth. Not sure what that is at all. Looks like a brand new perk entirely. But based on how the achievements did surface early on the internet a little while ago, it does kind of hint at the fact there's only going to be 5 different perks to choose from here in Anfang. So I'm kind of getting the vibe that since these perk fountains don't look like they're exclusive to their machines, right? There isn't an exclusive Speed Cola fountain or a Juggernaut fountain. They look like 4 out of 5 just general looking fountains that fit the lore of Dark Aether for this game, but that also is just like how Black Ops 4's perk system worked, with where you just choose what perks go where on the map. Doesn't change the look of the machines or statues at all. Doesn't necessarily mean that the game will only launch with 5 perks. It could launch with possibly 10 or more, similar to Black Ops 4. In a perfect world, it'll launch with all 10 that were just in Cold War, then we just get to choose what 5 go where in the gameplay itself. It's still a possibility we get many more perks added throughout the DLC season that weren't in Cold War, whether they're completely new or fan favorites that were also in Black Ops 4. That's kind of my interpretation right now of the perk system. It could be wrong, and I'm just pointing that out right now, but that's what I'm thinking. Let me know if you disagree with that down below. We also have field upgrades linked to the operators symbiotically through artifacts crafted in the Dark Aether. So we have Frost Blast, Ring of Fire, Energy Mine, and Aether Shroud, and you guessed it, yes, they were all in Black Ops Cold War. So what about Toxic Growth, Frenzy Guard, Tesla Storm? I'm assuming those didn't have any Elder Gods linked to them in this story, unless they're going to be added in later. And that's, again, going back to my problem, right? Where we launch with what we already had at launch from Cold War, then we have to wait for what we already had in Cold War in Season 6 until a future season of Vanguard to get that back. That's frustrating to me, unless they're going to do something different. So Zykov did consume them all and use all these abilities, coincidentally, in the Forsaken boss fight, which gives us the hint that, yeah, these abilities do come from these Elder Gods, and once Zykov consumed them all, he also had those abilities. So I want to say that Vanguard's purpose, aside from being a prequel, is to really get us established with these older gods from the Dark Aether, more familiar with the occult type of demonic vibes here, and then by the time COD 2023 comes out, Treyarch can reintroduce those characters, and we already would know their backlog and what they used to be capable of back then, and then write a new story with them for their story going forward after the events of Cold War. That's kind of how I'm thinking about the story right now. We also have the armor station combined with the crafting bench now, which I'm definitely a fan of. I think might as well put it all in one, but it's unclear how weapon rarities are going to work if they're even in this iteration of zombies. I'm going to say they're probably not, but maybe they'll find a different way to introduce those rarities, maybe through the Ultra of Covenants. I know Eric made it on Twitter to speculate about that just a little while ago. Now, Anfang also features a lot of interactable radios, Dark Aether runestones that contain intel recordings, which will further flesh out our characters, locations, and backstory of this chapter for the Dark Aether saga. This is a direct quote from Treyarch themselves in the blog post, so yes, you guessed it again, the intel system is coming back. I'm not saying it's a perfect system that was in Cold War. There's many ways to make it better, whether it's dropping as multiple pieces at once, whether it's condensing how many pieces are in a map, or whether that means prioritizing which are more important than the others at the main menu when you listen to them. I definitely think it's a big plus to be able to listen to them at the menu instead of having to listen to them all in game, considering it's really difficult to do that on solo. So I'm all for more world building, more lore, and all that good stuff. So if there's a better way to craft the intel system, then I'm all for it. Clearly the time spent on scripting dialogue between a main character or a character set of 4, that's being put towards the intel system now, which again, I'm fine with, but there definitely are ways to make that system better, which I think we'll see once Treyarch has more time to put into zombies specifically. I'm also gonna guess we're gonna get a full cinematic cutscene for Anfang at some point closer to release. We got a pretty large glimpse of this cinematic throughout the Vanguard Zombies reveal, but you could definitely tell there were some cuts in between to show us some gameplay and some other reveals. It wasn't the entirety of the cutscene just all in one, unless they're going with the Cold War DLC approach, where every time you got a reveal for a DLC map like Firebase, Modern Toten, Forsaken, they combined the reveal trailer with gameplay with some cinematics in it as a bit of an intro, but Die Maschine was the only map in Cold War that got its own standalone cinematic cutscene. So maybe Anfang with the same treatment, or it'll be more like the DLC maps that we got over the past couple of months. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on the future of zombies as we know it, the controversy behind round-based, and even a breakdown of the early gameplay that we got just a couple of days ago? I really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.